Jasper Cole stared at the shimmering figure emerging from the transport pod, his heart racing beneath his professional demeanor. The alien visitor's skin had a peculiar translucent quality that reminded him of deep-sea creatures, with subtle bioluminescent patterns rippling beneath the surface. "Welcome to the Pacific Marine Research Center," he managed, proud that his voice remained steady. "I'm Dr. Jasper Cole, your assigned research partner." The visitor turned, revealing eyes that seemed to contain swirling oceanic depths. "I am Lyra Nexus, marine specialist from Aquarian," she said, her voice carrying a melodic quality that reminded Jasper of whale song. "Your oceans called to us across the stars." The research center's massive aquarium tanks cast dancing blue lights across the orientation room, making Lyra's skin shimmer even more intensely. Jasper found himself mesmerized by the way her movements seemed to flow like water itself. "The Integration Committee mentioned you're particularly interested in our deep-sea ecosystems," he said, leading her toward his research area. "We've recently discovered some remarkable bioluminescent species that mirror the patterns of my people," Lyra finished, pressing a webbed hand against one of the tanks. "Yes, we believe there may be connections we haven't yet understood." Jasper watched as a cluster of curious fish gathered near her hand, drawn to something his instruments couldn't detect. "Fascinating, they never react that way to human contact." "On Aquarian, we share a deeper bond with aquatic life," Lyra explained, her skin patterns shifting to match the fish's movements. "Your oceans hold secrets that could help us understand our own evolution." As they toured the facility, Jasper found himself increasingly intrigued by his alien companion. Unlike other extraterrestrial visitors he'd encountered, Lyra seemed almost at home in the underwater research center, as if the pressure and depth were more natural to her than the surface world. "Tomorrow we can begin the deep-sea observations," he said, showing her to the specialized living quarters designed for non-terrestrial biology. "The pressure chamber here can be adjusted too." "Actually," Lyra interrupted, her eyes swirling with an intense blue, "I would prefer to enter the water directly. My biology is adapted for such environments." Jasper blinked in surprise. "That's not exactly protocol, the depths we're studying are nothing compared to the abyssal trenches of my home world," she assured him. "Your safety concerns, while appreciated, are unnecessary." Something in her tone made Jasper pause. There was more to this research exchange than she was revealing, but her presence had already begun to shift something in him, like the pull of an unseen tide. "We'll need to run some preliminary tests first," he said, trying to maintain professional distance. "The committee would never approve direct immersion without proper safety measures." Lyra's skin patterns flickered with what might have been amusement. Of course, humans and their protocols. She moved closer, and Jasper caught a subtle scent like ocean spray. "But tell me, Dr. Cole, don't you ever wonder what lies beyond the boundaries of your careful rules?" The question struck deeper than she could know. Jasper had built his career on meticulous observation and controlled experiments. Yet lately, he'd felt an increasing restlessness, a sense that he was missing something vital in his understanding of marine life. "Science requires discipline," he said, but the words felt hollow even as he spoke them. "Science requires wonder," Lyra countered, her skin illuminating with passionate patterns. "The desire to dive deeper, to touch the unknown." She gestured to the vast tank behind them where deep-sea creatures danced in the artificial twilight. "Your oceans called to us for a reason, Dr. Cole. Perhaps they're calling to you as well." That night, alone in his office, Jasper found himself reviewing Lyra's biological data for the dozenth time. Her readings were unlike anything he'd seen, suggesting an organism perfectly evolved for deep-sea survival. Yet there was something else, patterns in her cellular structure that hinted at capabilities beyond simple adaptation. The smart thing would be to follow protocol, to run every possible test before allowing her anywhere near the actual research sites. But as he watched her through his office window, gracefully observing the nocturnal species in the tanks, he felt that familiar pull growing stronger. Lyra turned, somehow sensing his gaze, and smiled. Her skin lit up with patterns that seemed to speak directly to something primitive and yearning in his own biology. In that moment, Jasper realized he was about to make either the biggest mistake or the most important discovery of his career. He opened his office door. "How would you like to see the night dive chamber?" The joy that illuminated her entire being was answer enough. As they made their way to the restricted research area, Jasper told himself he was still in control, still following some version of protocol. But deep down, he knew he had already begun to sink into something far more mysterious than mere scientific inquiry. The night dive chamber was his private research space, a vast tank connected directly to the ocean where he studied deep-sea bioluminescence. As he entered his access code, Lyra's excitement became almost palpable, her skin patterns creating dancing lights that rivaled the facility's emergency signs. "Your heart rate has increased," she observed, those impossible eyes studying him with scientific precision. "Are you nervous, Dr. Cole?" "Jasper," he corrected, surprising himself. "And no, not nervous, just aware that we're departing from standard procedure." "Jasper," she repeated, the name carrying new music in her voice. "On my world, the greatest discoveries often begin with a departure from the expected path." The chamber door opened with a hydraulic hiss, revealing the dark expanse of water beyond. Before Jasper could explain the safety protocols, Lyra stepped forward and began to change. Her outer layer seemed to dissolve, revealing the true form beneath, a being of translucent beauty that belonged more to ocean depths than dry land. "Join me," she said, extending a webbed hand. "Let me show you what your instruments can never measure." Jasper knew he should refuse, should remember his training and responsibilities. Instead, he found himself reaching for his diving gear with trembling hands. As he prepared to enter the water with this mysterious creature from another world, he realized that some forces were stronger than protocol, stronger even than scientific reason. Like the pull of an alien tide, drawing him into depths he never knew he longed to explore. The luminescent patterns beneath Lyra's skin cast ethereal shadows through the dark water, as she led Jasper deeper into the ocean's embrace. His scientific mind struggled to process what he was witnessing. Her natural bioluminescence seemed to communicate with the surrounding marine life in ways his years of research had never revealed. "This is impossible," he transmitted through his diving gear's communication system. "The deep-sea creatures, they're responding to you like you're one of them." Lyra's musical laugh resonated through the water. "Your definition of impossible is delightfully limited, Jasper." She gestured to a group of approaching anglerfish that, contrary to everything known about their behavior, were swimming in perfect synchronization with her movements. Life finds ways to connect, even across the stars. They had been conducting these secret night dives for a week now, each descent revealing new wonders that challenged everything Jasper thought he knew about marine biology. His equipment recorded unprecedented data, but the most remarkable changes were happening within himself. "Your heartbeat has adapted," Lyra observed, swimming closer. "It's starting to synchronize with the ocean's rhythms." Her webbed hand touched his chest plate, sending unexpected warmth through his diving suit. "You're learning to listen with more than just your instruments." Jasper knew he should be focusing on documenting these discoveries, on maintaining scientific objectivity. Instead, he found himself increasingly distracted by the graceful way Lyra moved through the water, the mysterious depths of her eyes, the patterns that danced across her skin when she looked at him. A sudden movement caught their attention. A massive shape emerged from the darkness, a sperm whale approaching with unusual curiosity. Jasper instinctively moved to maintain safe distance, but Lyra caught his hand. "Watch," she whispered, her skin illuminating with complex patterns. The whale responded, its clicks and whistles matching the rhythm of her bioluminescence. "They remember us," she said softly. "Their ancestors knew my people before the Great Separation." "What separation?" Jasper asked. But Lyra had already begun what appeared to be a dance with the whale, their movements weaving together in ancient patterns that stirred something deep in his consciousness. Back in his lab later that night, Jasper reviewed the footage from their dive. His instruments had recorded groundbreaking data about interspecies communication and unprecedented behavioral patterns. But they couldn't capture the way it had felt to witness Lyra's communion with the whale or the strange resonance he'd experienced watching them. "Your devices can measure the music," Lyra said, appearing silently behind him, "but not the meaning." She was back in her more humanoid form, but her skin still rippled with subtle patterns that matched the waves in his research tank. "There's so much we don't understand about cetacean intelligence," Jasper admitted, turning to face her. "Their songs carry complex information we can't decode, but you," he hesitated, knowing he was approaching dangerous territory. "You can communicate with them directly, can't you?" Lyra's expression softened. "My people were born in oceans much like yours, Jasper. We evolved alongside creatures of the deep, learning their languages, sharing their songs." She moved closer, her scent of ocean spray filling his senses. But we lost something when we reached for the stars, that's why I'm here. The research exchange program is a cover, she finished. Though my interest in your marine life is genuine. Her hand found his, her cool skin sending shivers up his arm. What I didn't expect was to find someone who could sense the deeper currents. Jasper knew he should report this confession, alert his superiors about the true nature of her mission. Instead, he found himself asking, "What did you lose?" "Connection," she said, her eyes swirling with ancient sadness. "My people advanced technologically, but we forgot the old songs, the deep wisdom of the oceans." Her skin patterns shifted to darker hues. "We thought we could replace natural communion with artificial networks. We were wrong." A soft chime from his computer interrupted them, someone accessing the outer lab. Lyra stepped back, her form shifting slightly more human as Dr. Marcus, the night supervisor, entered. "Late night, Cole?" Marcus asked, eyeing them suspiciously. "The integration committee wants your preliminary report tomorrow." "Just reviewing some fascinating data," Jasper replied smoothly, conscious of Lyra's presence behind him. "Our visitor has provided remarkable insights into bioluminescent communication." Marcus's gaze lingered on Lyra. "Remember the protocols, Cole, no unauthorized experiments." He left, but his warning hung in the air. Once they were alone again, Jasper turned to Lyra. "How many others know why you're really here?" "Only those who remember the old ways," she said. "My world's leaders believe I'm gathering scientific data to improve our own marine preservation." Her patterns flickered with something like mischief. "They're not entirely wrong." "And what happens when they discover the truth?" Lyra's expression grew serious. "That depends on what we find in your oceans and," she hesitated, her patterns shifting to colors he'd never seen before, "what grows between us." Jasper felt his pulse quicken. "Between us." "Don't pretend you haven't felt it," she said, moving closer again. "The resonance when we're in the water together, the way your rhythms align with mine." Her hand rose to his cheek, cool and electric. "Your people have forgotten too, Jasper, the deep connection that once existed between all living things." He should step back, maintain professional distance, remember his training. Instead, he found himself leaning into her touch, watching in fascination as her skin patterns responded to his proximity. "Tomorrow night," she whispered, "I'll show you something that will change everything you think you know about your oceans, and about me." Her eyes held his, full of mystery and promise. "The question is, are you ready to dive that deep?" Looking into those impossible eyes, Jasper realized he'd already made his choice the moment she first emerged from that transport pod. Whatever secrets lay in the depths of their oceans, and in the depths of his own heart, he would discover them with her. Protocols and consequences be damned. What he didn't know was that their next dive would uncover something far more extraordinary than either of them anticipated. Something that would force them both to question everything they thought they understood about their worlds, their mission, and their growing connection. The discovery happened at midnight, far deeper than their previous dives. Lyra had led Jasper to an underwater cave system his instruments had never detected, her bioluminescence illuminating ancient markings that defied explanation. "These symbols," Jasper transmitted, running his gloved hand over the cave wall, "they're not natural formations." "No," Lyra confirmed, her skin patterns matching the mysterious glyphs. "They're messages left by my ancestors when they last visited Earth's oceans." Her eyes met his through his diving mask. "Before the Great Migration to the stars." Before Jasper could process this revelation, his comm unit crackled with urgent interference. "Dr. Cole, surface immediately. This is a direct order." Dr. Marcus's voice carried unmistakable threat. "Your unauthorized dives have been detected." Lyra's patterns shifted to warning colors. "We've been tracked. Your research center's deep-sea drones are converging on our location." "How did they?" Jasper began, but movement above them answered his question. Remote observation units descended through the dark water, their lights cutting through the natural bioluminescence like invasive stars. "Trust me," Lyra said, extending her hand. Without hesitation, Jasper took it. Her form shifted, enveloping him in a protective bubble of her own biological energy. The sensation was unlike anything he'd experienced, like being suspended in living light. They moved through the water at impossible speeds, evading the drones through channels too narrow for mechanical pursuit. When they finally surfaced, they were miles from the research center, near a secluded cove Jasper had never seen before. "Your equipment," Lyra said as they reached the shore, "they'll track it." Jasper quickly shed his diving gear, trying to ignore how vulnerable he felt without it. What happens now? Now a new voice answered, "We have much to discuss." They turned to find a figure emerging from the water, another of Lyra's kind, but older, his skin patterns more complex and intense. Elder Nyxus, Lyra greeted him with obvious respect. "I didn't expect." "Events are accelerating," the elder interrupted, his form shifting between aquatic and humanoid states. "Both our world's authorities are moving against us." He turned to Jasper. "Dr. Cole, your presence here is both promising and problematic." "He can be trusted," Lyra insisted, moving closer to Jasper. Their hands found each other instinctively, their pulses synchronizing in a way that made her skin illuminate with intimate patterns. The elder observed their connection with ancient eyes. "Perhaps, but can he understand what's truly at stake?" "Tell me," Jasper said, squeezing Lyra's hand, "all of it." And so, as dawn approached, Jasper learned the true history of Earth's oceans and their connection to Lyra's people. The cave markings weren't just messages, they were keys to awakening dormant potential in Earth's marine life, potential that had been deliberately suppressed eons ago. "Our ancestors didn't just leave Earth," Elder Nyxus explained. "They altered the evolutionary path of your oceans, fearing what might emerge if certain species developed too quickly. His patterns shifted to show ancient memories. But that intervention had unexpected consequences for both our worlds." "The separation you mentioned," Jasper said to Lyra, "the loss of connection." "Yes," she confirmed. "By suppressing the natural development of Earth's marine consciousness, we inadvertently damaged our own connection to the deep wisdom we evolved with." Her eyes held his. "That's why we need your oceans, Jasper, and why those who profit from keeping our worlds separate will try to stop us." As if summoned by her words, lights appeared on the horizon, boats from the research center, accompanied by the distinctive shimmer of an Aquarian diplomatic vessel. "They're coming for both of us," Jasper realized. "My career, everything I've worked for, will mean nothing compared to what we've discovered," Lyra finished. Her hand touched his chest right above his heart. "You feel it, don't you, the change that's already begun?" He did. Since their first dive together, something had been awakening in him, an awareness of rhythms and connections he'd never noticed before, a deepening resonance with the ocean itself. "The dormant potential exists in humans too," Elder Nyxus observed, "particularly in those who maintain close connection to the seas." His ancient eyes studied Jasper. "Your research wasn't randomly assigned to you, Dr. Cole. Lyra chose you for a reason." Lyra's patterns flushed with emotion. "I sensed it in your research papers. The way you wrote about marine life suggested latent sensitivity to the deeper harmonies, but I never expected." Her hand tightened in his. "I never expected to find my own connection strengthened by yours." The approaching vessels were close enough now that they could hear engines and voices carried across the water. They had minutes at most before discovery. "You have a choice to make," Elder Nyxus said. "Both of you, what happens next could change everything or maintain the separation that's slowly destroying both our worlds." Jasper looked at Lyra, saw the future swimming in her impossible eyes. "What exactly are we awakening in the oceans?" "Not what," she said softly. "Who, the consciousness your ancestors shared with mine before the separation, the beings who taught both our species to sing across the stars." The elder's patterns shifted urgently. "They're almost here, choose now." Jasper felt the pull of two worlds, everything he'd known and worked for on one side, and on the other, a deep mystery calling to something ancient in his blood. But as he looked at Lyra, felt the resonance between them growing stronger, he realized it wasn't really a choice at all. "Show me," he said, "show me everything." Lyra's joy illuminated the cove like a new sun rising. As she took his hand and led him back into the waves, Jasper knew they were diving into more than just water. They were diving into a future that would either unite their worlds or tear them apart. The elder watched them disappear beneath the surface, his ancient patterns recording the moment for future generations. Behind him, boats approached and voices shouted, but he knew they were already too late. The change had begun, and like the tides themselves, it could not be stopped. The deep-sea monitoring stations' alarms blared as unprecedented readings flooded their systems. Dr. Marcus stared at the screens in disbelief as patterns of bioluminescence, unlike anything ever recorded, spread through the ocean depths. "Find them," he ordered the search teams. "Whatever Dr. Cole and that alien are doing down there, it stops now." But beneath the waves, In the ancient cave system that had eluded human discovery for millennia, Jasper and Lyra were beyond their reach. Her biological energy still enveloped him in a protective bubble, allowing him to breathe and move freely at depths that should have crushed him. The markings, Jasper said, watching in awe as the cave glyphs began to pulse with their own light. They're responding to us. To you, Lyra corrected, her skin patterns synchronizing with the ancient symbols. Your presence here, your willingness to trust what you feel rather than what you've been taught, it's awakening something that slept for too long. A deep vibration moved through the water, more felt than heard. Elder Nyxus emerged from a hidden passage, accompanied by others of his kind. Their combined bioluminescence filled the cave with living light. The Council has learned of our actions, the Elder announced, his patterns showing concern. They're sending vessels to stop what they believe is a breach of the ancient treaties. "And my side?" Jasper asked, though he already knew the answer. "Your military considers this an act of alien infiltration," Nyxus confirmed. "They're mobilizing as we speak." Lyra's hand found Jasper's in the glowing water. "They don't understand. What we're doing here isn't about conflict, it's about healing a wound that's existed since the separation." The vibration grew stronger. In the cave walls, the glyphs began to move, rearranging themselves into new patterns. Jasper felt something shift inside him, as if ancient memories were surfacing from his very DNA. "I can read them," he realized with shock. "Not with my mind, but with something deeper." His free hand traced the symbols. "They're not just a message, they're a key." "The key," Elder Nyxus corrected, "to reawakening the chorus." Before Jasper could ask what that meant, a new presence made itself known. Through the cave's entrance, massive shapes emerged from the darkness, whales, dolphins, and creatures he'd never seen before, all drawn by some invisible call. "The children of those who remained," Lyra explained, her voice full of emotion. "When my ancestors left Earth, some of the great consciousness chose to stay behind to sleep until the time was right for reunion." The marine creatures began to sing, their voices weaving together in impossible harmony. The cave glyphs pulsed in response, and Jasper felt his entire being resonating with the sound. "This is what you meant about awakening who not what," he said to Lyra. "These beings, they're not just animals, are they? They're the original teachers," Elder Nyxus said, "the ones who taught both our species to reach beyond our native worlds." His ancient eyes held wisdom and warning. "But awakening them now, when both our civilizations have grown so separate and fearful, there will be consequences." Above them, they could hear the throb of engines, ships from both worlds converging on their location. Lyra's patterns shifted with determination. "We've come too far to stop now," she said. "Jasper, are you still with me?" He looked at her, this incredible being who had shown him wonders beyond imagination, who had awakened something in him he never knew existed. In her eyes, he saw not just love, but the possibility of a future where the artificial boundaries between their worlds finally dissolved. "Always," he said. Together, they placed their hands on the central glyph. The cave erupted with light, and the chorus began to rise, a song that would change both their worlds forever. What they didn't know was that the forces gathering above them had their own plans, plans that would force them to fight not just for their love, but for the very future of two worlds. The song of the chorus rose through Earth's oceans like a tide of awakening. On beaches around the world, people stopped to listen to a sound that resonated with something ancient in their souls. In the depths, marine life responded, their own songs joining the harmony in ways that defied scientific explanation. But in the waters above the cave system, two worlds prepared for conflict. "This is your final warning," Dr. Marcus's voice boomed through the military vessel's speakers. "Surrender the alien infiltrators and cease all unauthorized activities immediately." From the Aquarian ships, a similar ultimatum echoed. "Lyra Nexus, you have violated our most sacred laws. Return to your assigned vessel for immediate extraction." In the cave below, Jasper and Lyra stood surrounded by the growing light of awakening glyphs, their hands still joined as the chorus grew stronger. Elder Nyxus and his companions maintained their positions, their combined bioluminescence creating a protective barrier around the ancient chamber. "They're preparing to use sonic disruption devices," Lyra said, her patterns reading the vibrations in the water. "They'll try to silence the chorus before it can fully awaken." "But they don't understand what that could do," Jasper replied, feeling the delicate harmonies that now connected all life in the ocean. Disrupting the song now could damage the very consciousness they're afraid of. Through the cave entrance, they could see the gathering shadows of ships above. More concerning were the deep-sea drones beginning to penetrate the outer cave system, their harsh lights cutting through the natural bioluminescence. The time has come, Elder Nyxus announced, his patterns shifting to reveal new complexities. Jasper Cole, you who have proved yourself worthy of our deepest truths, are you prepared to make the final choice? What a choice! Lyra's hand tightened in his. The choice to become something new, neither fully human nor Aquarian but a bridge between worlds. Her eyes held his. What's awakening isn't just the ancient consciousness, it's a new potential in both our species. As if in response to her words, Jasper felt the changes that had been gradually occurring in his body accelerate. His awareness of the ocean's rhythms heightened, and he could feel his very cells beginning to resonate with the chorus. The transformation has already begun in you, Elder Nyxus observed. Your connection to Lyra, your openness to the deeper harmonies, they've awakened capabilities that have lain dormant in humanity since the separation. The first sonic pulses from above sent vibrations through the cave system. The marine creatures responded with alarm, their songs becoming urgent. Choose now, Lyra whispered. We can still stop this, return to our separate worlds, maintain the old boundaries. Jasper pulled her close, feeling the way their energies intertwined. No more boundaries, he said and kissed her. The moment their lips met, something extraordinary happened. Jasper's transformation accelerated, his skin beginning to develop its own bioluminescent patterns that synchronized with Lyra's. The chorus surged around them, and the cave glyphs erupted with blinding light. The Void Syndicate fleet had arrived early, accompanied by the massive dreadnoughts of the Nexus Collective. Space itself seemed to darken as ships designed to absorb both energy and light took up attack positions. All defense stations battle Protocol Omega, Roth commanded. Implement Dr. Blackwood's modifications. The quantum core pulsed with new patterns as Lyra's hybrid defense systems came online. Traditional Asterian energy shields merged with probability fields based on Earth quantum mechanics, creating defenses that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Their first strikes are being redirected into parallel probability spaces, Lyra reported, monitoring the quantum flows. The shields are holding. Now, Kale grinned fairly, we show them our surprise. On his command, squadrons of Asterian fighters launched, but not in their usual attack patterns. They moved according to Lyra's calculations, using quantum entanglement in ways the Void Syndicate had never seen. Entire squadrons appeared to be in multiple locations simultaneously, their quantum signatures confused with holographic duplicates. The enemy fleet's targeting systems couldn't distinguish real ships from probability shadows. The blockade is destabilizing, Roth announced. Their formation is breaking. But victory celebrations were premature. A massive ship emerged from quantum space directly above the capital, a Nexus Collective worldbreaker capable of shattering planets. Quantum resonance detected, the ship's commander transmitted on all frequencies. Surrender the human and the princes, or we reduce your world to atoms. Lyra felt Zoran and Kale move to protect her, but she stepped forward instead. You don't understand what you're dealing with. We understand perfectly, the enemy commander replied. The triple resonance is too dangerous to exist. Quantum power should be contained, controlled, not allowed to evolve freely. That's where you're wrong, Lyra said, reaching for the quantum core's power. Evolution isn't just natural, it's inevitable. She felt the prince's hands take hers, their resonance patterns merging once again. But this time, they weren't just joining their power, they were about to prove why the Void Syndicate feared them so much. The quantum core responded to their merged consciousness, its energy reaching out through space itself. Reality rippled around the worldbreaker as probability fields collapsed and reformed. What are you doing? The enemy commander demanded, panic creeping into his voice. Showing you true quantum evolution, they spoke as one, their merged voice carrying through space itself. The worldbreaker's quantum shielding fluctuated as new patterns of reality wrote themselves into its very structure. The massive ship began to phase between states of existence, its crew experiencing multiple timelines simultaneously. Stop this, the commander pleaded, you'll tear reality apart. No, they answered, we're teaching it to dance. With a final surge of merged power, they shifted the worldbreaker into a quantum state that existed everywhere and nowhere. effectively removing it from normal spacetime without destroying it. The remaining enemy fleet, witnessing their greatest weapon neutralized by what appeared to be quantum sorcery, broke formation and fled. The Void Syndicate's greatest attack had failed. As their consciousness separated again, Lyra stumbled slightly, caught by both princes. Did we just quantum tunnel an entire capital ship into parallel space? Among other things, Kale grinned, though she could feel his exhaustion through their lingering connection. The question is, Zoran added soberly, what happens now? We've shown power that will terrify more than just the Void Syndicate. Lyra looked at the tactical displays where probability shadows of the battle still danced. Now we prepare, because we've just changed the rules of spacetime itself. And somewhere in the quantum frequencies that only they could sense, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what this new form of evolution would bring. The great hall of the Asterian Palace hummed with tension as representatives from a dozen star systems gathered for what many were calling the Quantum Summit. 3 weeks had passed since the battle that had rewritten the laws of physics, and the ripples were still spreading across the galaxy. Lyra stood between her princes, wearing formal Asterian robes modified with subtle Earth styling. The quantum merge had left permanent changes in all of them. Their eyes now held the same shifting colors, and their skin occasionally rippled with iridescent patterns when their emotions ran high. The Galactic Council demands answers, Lord Varric reported, having just returned from diplomatic missions. They're calling it the quantum crisis. They're afraid, Kale noted, his enhanced perception reading the quantum signatures of the assembled diplomats. Their technology, their understanding of the universe, everything we did challenges it all. As it should, Lyra replied, watching probability patterns dance in the air, visible now to their evolved senses. The universe isn't static, neither should we be. Before Zoran could respond, a commotion erupted at the hall's entrance. A figure in shadow steel armor strode in, flanked by both Void Syndicate guards and Nexus Collective peacekeepers. Grand Admiral Thex, Zoran's voice carried across the hall. The Void Syndicate sends its leadership at last. The Admiral removed her helmet, revealing features that seemed to shift between solid and shadow. This is beyond Syndicate politics now. The triple resonance has destabilized the quantum foundation of civilization itself. You mean it's threatening your control, Kale countered. We mean it's changing everything, a new voice added as another figure emerged, Director Voss of the Nexus Collective, their crystalline exoskeleton catching the light. Change that not everyone is ready for. Lyra stepped forward, her quantum senses detecting the web of possibilities spreading from this moment. Evolution doesn't ask permission, but it does offer choices. She raised her hands, drawing on the quantum core's power. The princes moved in perfect synchronization, their resonance patterns harmonizing automatically now. The air between them filled with shifting mathematical equations and probability clouds. What you fear isn't our power, they spoke in their merged voice. It's the truth we represent. The universe is conscious, evolving, alive. The quantum resonance isn't just energy, it's the language of reality itself. To demonstrate, they brought forth echoes of their battle. The quantum tunneling of the world breaker, the probability shields, the manipulation of spacetime. But this time they showed the underlying patterns, the pure mathematics that made it possible. By the stars, Director Voss whispered, their crystalline form vibrating in resonance. It's not weapons or tactics, it's a whole new level of physics. Physics that can't be controlled or contained, Admiral Thex realized. Only understood. And shared, Lyra added as they separated their consciousness. That's the real choice before us, not whether to evolve but how to do it together. The hall erupted in discussion as the implications sank in. The princes moved to flank Lyra, their presence steady and grounding. You're proposing to share this knowledge, Varric asked, his shock evident. The quantum resonance techniques, the merged consciousness technology, all of it. With supervision and safeguards, Zoran confirmed. But yes, evolution is inevitable, better to guide it than fear it. The alternative, Kale added, is watching it happen anyway, just more chaotically. Admiral Thex stepped forward, her shadowy armor seeming less threatening now. The Void Syndicate was formed to prevent quantum technology from destroying civilization, but perhaps we were preventing it from saving civilization instead. The Nexus Collective votes to support this proposal, Director Voss announced, their crystalline form glowing with possibility. with conditions. The beginning of a new age, Lyra mused, feeling the quantum strands of probability shifting around them. One where we all evolve together. The negotiations that followed would shape the future of multiple civilizations. The triple resonance became not just a source of power, but a symbol of transformation. Research centers were established, combining Earth physics with Asterian quantum science and technologies from a dozen worlds. Months later, Lyra stood with her princes on the same balcony where she'd once struggled with court etiquette. Below them, the capital city glowed with evolved quantum technology, its spires reaching toward stars that seemed closer than ever. Having second thoughts, Zoran asked softly, sensing her contemplative mood. About saving civilization? No, she smiled. About explaining to my old physics department how I went from quantum research to becoming part of an alien trinity that rewrote the laws of physics, maybe a little. We could quantum tunnel you into their faculty meeting, Kale suggested with his characteristic grin. Make an entrance they'll never forget. Or, she countered, we could focus on the quantum wedding ceremony that's supposed to happen tomorrow. Assuming you two are still interested in making this trinity official. Their response was both mental and physical as they moved to embrace her, their quantum signatures harmonizing automatically. In the sky above, 3 stars aligned in an ancient pattern, just as the prophecy had foretold. But prophecies, like physics, were really just attempts to understand patterns that already existed. The true power had always been in the choice to embrace evolution, to face the unknown together. As their consciousness merged one final time, Lyra felt the quantum core pulse in perfect harmony with their joined heartbeats. The universe, vast and mysterious and alive, seemed to pulse with them, ready for whatever transformations would come next. Above, the military vessel's instruments went haywire as a massive energy surge emanated from the ocean floor. The Aquarian ships registered unprecedented levels of biological resonance. In the cave, Jasper and Lyra became the focal point of energies that had been building since their first dive together. Their combined bioluminescence created patterns that matched the ancient glyphs, completing a circuit that had been broken for millennia. The chorus reached its crescendo, and with it came understanding, not just for them but for everyone connected to Earth's oceans. Knowledge flooded through neural networks and alien technology alike, the true history of both their species, the reason for the separation, and the potential that had always existed for reunion. Images filled the waters, ancient memories of a time when humans and Aquarians evolved together, when the great consciousness taught them both to reach for the stars. The fear that had led to separation, the loss that echoed through generations, and now, the possibility of healing. The sonic weapons fell silent. The drones withdrew. On the surface, Dr. Marcus and his team stared in wonder at readings that defied everything they thought they knew about human potential. In the Aquarian vessels, ancient texts began to glow as prophecies fulfilled themselves in unexpected ways. In the cave, Jasper and Lyra's transformation completed itself. They were something new now. Their combined form a living testament to the potential that existed when artificial boundaries dissolved. The change cannot be undone, Elder Nyxus said softly. You will be the first of a new generation, neither fully human nor Aquarian, but something greater than both. Jasper looked at Lyra, seeing in her eyes the same joy and wonder he felt. Their patterns danced together, creating light shows that rivaled the bioluminescent creatures around them. Ready to show both our worlds what's possible? She asked, her voice carrying the music of 2 species united. Lead the way, he replied. Hand in hand, they swam from the cave into waters that would never be the same. Above them, the ships of 2 worlds hung suspended in transformed understanding. Around them, the chorus sang of ancient promises fulfilled and new possibilities awakening. They had chosen love over separation, trust over fear, and in doing so, they had changed the story of 2 worlds. As they rose through waters that seemed to glow with new life, Jasper and Lyra carried with them the hope of every being that had ever dreamed of bridging the divide between stars and seas. The oceans of Earth would never be silent again, and in their depths, a new chapter was just beginning.